for early childhood equity. And then we give them a wage increase for a period of time, and then we work with others in the community to have the market adapt to that. So instead of just having home-based childcare in these accessory dwelling units, we have true early childhood education. And then I mentioned Allison's also putting together a GIS system for the sick buildings. We've been targeting those. There's lots of different financing we could look at for those buildings. We've got an infrastructure bill that's going to eventually come down from Congress that's going to be all about green jobs. Most of them are in opportunity zones, so there's options for private investment, just a lot of opportunity to create economic justice out of environmental injustice in these school buildings in these communities and help the county with that. Next slide. And these are all the partnerships that we've talked about. The Land Trust, investors. There are investors that do things for impact, not just financial gain. And there's a lot of them in North Carolina. Philanthropy, the housing providers, the faith-based community. You've already got groups here that have done workforce training like your OIC. Lots of different groups. The Land Trust can partner with them. It's not about reinventing the wheel. It's about partnering with who's here doing what now and then building this process for workforce housing. And these are the outcomes. So we don't put together any plan without thinking about what is going to happen at the end. Inclusive, equitable, sustainable city with housing that's healthy. Workforce housing. We'd obviously track metrics on this to make sure we're achieving what we said. This whole supply chain management system and minority business enterprise, equitable and inclusive. How many of those businesses, where else could they work? How could that be marketed? All the different investment tools that can be used in this. And then on top of all of that, this accelerator for trades and this early childhood. All right, so now we'll stop, go to the GIS, and then we'll go to that interview. Okay, so we just basically created a GIS system like you'd see at Edgecombe County or Nash County. And just click on, so we added layers. We can keep adding layers to it. And then we put the information in about the properties and just a good planning tool to think about what properties. As people come and tell us about properties, we can add them and then we have this whole system for it. Yeah, got all the information in it, what census tract, what its condition is, what its value is, just all of that information so the Land Trust would have its own tool to be able to look at these communities. Okay, perfect. All right, now we're going to go to an interview. This is the Douglas Land Trust in Washington, D.C. And it's the director of the Land Trust interviewing a woman who just bought about 2 months ago in that trust.
So I just started recording. This is Adam. I'm the director of stewardship at the Douglas Community Land Trust. I'm here helping out some of our friends by passing off along some questions to one of our newest homeowner in the Douglas Community Land Trust, Mary Pena, who's been nice enough to help us out with answering some of these questions. So without further ado,
actually 27 years in DC. So, born and raised.
And the home we're buying to is a unit at limited equity housing co-op, so it's a small multifamily building, right? Like around.
Yes, it's a family building. I think it has like, I think 30 units in here. Yeah, 30 units.
Yeah. And the whole thing's in the community land trust. So I guess as folks know, community land trust is an organization that partners with places like the co-op that Mary lives in. And provide ongoing stewardship and kind of community engagement services and opportunities to folks. And so I think people are drawn to CLTs and CLT properties for different reasons. I think, Mary, if you can share a little bit how you learned about it again, or I guess maybe what you learned about it in the purchase process and why you decided to buy the unit that you did and join the CLT community.
Well, I learned about the Douglas CLT through the people that live here in this specific building on 14th Street. And I want to say just being very quick in responding to me with all my questions and having like that open door made me comfortable, because as you know, a young person and being my first time experience, like I was very nervous, very like unsure if that was the step I wanted to take. But the company definitely made me feel comfortable and always answered my questions, like really helped throughout the process.
You know, I would hear that. So, and for people outside of DC, this co-op is located on 14th and close to U Street Northwest, which is one of the most gentrified areas. Would you say, Mary?
Yes, because I was like, I've lived in this.
You mind sharing kind of like a little bit about your unit and how much it costs?
It's a remodeled unit, so it has like marble countertops, these cool little slides. There's washing and drying machines downstairs, which is like for the building. Also has an awesome view to the monument. And good lighting. I live on the 6th floor, so I don't even use my light, so that's very awesome. Do I share how much it is a month?
Yeah.
So a month it costs me $1,190, and my mortgage aside is like $200 a month. Altogether with the loan I took out, it was like, I want to say 40,000 dollars.
And I think one bedrooms in that area for rent are what, around like $3,000 a month?
A studio in this area is like 1,500. One bedroom is close to like 1,600.
Bedrooms are like.
And that's not including utilities.
Yeah, so it's, we're glad to work with the co-op to preserve this property early on, glad to keep it affordable moving forward. So, and the share loan
Metro, Trader Joe's, and little shops to go eat like ice cream or grab a bite. Awesome school nearby and parks. So the area is great. With the Douglas CLT, some of the things some of the benefits that come with it is like the savings match. I don't think any other like building that I know of has that. And just the little festivities they throw like outside, like the ice cream they were giving, I think like a month ago. Just like, yeah, it's great.
And the match savings was something we were able to qualify for as a CLT for all our folks, where we were able to match amounts that people had saved over years of time, and match at least 1-to-1, and sometimes more than that. So very glad we got to work with folks.
And another thing that I got that I didn't get in my previous place was I got like a welcome home basket, which was so nice.
I'm glad that I got you that coordinating. Great. So I know you bought in just a couple months ago, so we had a chance to go through the weatherization kind of trainings that we offer, or the tax, right? The new home buyer tax trainings, right? How do you pay for taxes now?
Yeah. I'm making out you guys.
Yeah, no, we'll make sure you get that invite. But those are definitely coming up, and it's something that we do on a regular basis for all our homeowners. I think, let me see. I guess 2 more questions.
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, so you can hear they're talking about extra. So this is DC. So this is a multi-unit property, but they're talking about training coming up around taxes and weatherization. And she mentioned a savings program. These are all those programs a CLT can create. So they partnered with a credit union and they've set up a savings programs for the homeowners. So that's a lot, and we know it's a lot. And so we'll stop now and take your questions. Hello.
Dennis Spencer, pastor of Greater Mount Holly, Branch Street area, to build a community where 80% of the houses where the church I pastor are renters. And many of the houses are dilapidated, need remodeling. How will land trusts play a part in a community such as the one that I'm in, as well as many of the other churches, communities that we deal with?
Mm-hmm.
So how would land trust play a part?
Well, so we would need and I'm just saying we as the land trust for now, but we would need your help. So we would need you, because you know that community, to help us figure out which of these properties are landlords that live out of state, that live out of town, which have the landlords passed away and there's heirs that own the property. So you can help us. We can look it up on the tax books, but it's not the same thing as you knowing that community and possibly knowing them. And then we could come and work with you. We could have a workshop if you would let us do that with you, and we can invite them in and explain to them what the land trust is, and then start to work with those individual landlords on what options they could have working with the land trust, donating the land, selling the land, but do a workshop that would be even more involved than this.